Welcome to another edition of Hitting Buckets, golf podcast, where we talk about the latest stories in golf and try our best to share some winners. Um, Wells Fargo just ended, and without further ado, Ryan, how did Wells Fargo go?
What's up, Scott? All right. Well, I'm fired up for this week's pod. Excited to, we're going to be playing at a course named after a character from one of my favorite movies on Friday. So might slip in some Friday quotes, but man, that tournament was fun to watch. I told you last week it was Rory season. I spent some of my winnings upgrading my podcast situation here. I got this fancy new mic. So let's get it. Let's get to it here. Rory, I mean, he's been saying it all year. Not having the fans around made things feel different. So, of course, the first tournament back, a large crowd that adopted him as their own, and he returned. So, I think a lot of it had to do with probably with the birthday greetings that we gave him last week on the pod. Um, so it probably fired him up. I know I was starting my victory lap um, when he hit that drive on 18 that potentially was in the creek and they didn't know whose ball was, and then the whole drop dilemma had me screaming at the TV. Because then he basically had to hit a perfect approach shot from the rough, which he did. And then he was so dialed in all weekend with his putter. He was crushing the driver. He wasn't hitting many fairways, but he was playing really smart golf. It was fun to watch for sure. Um, and I told you last week this is going to be the last week that we see Rory north of 20-1. But thankfully, I doubled down and hit him on the PGA last week, so I got him at 19-1 coming in. I know it's tough to win back to back, especially off this long layoff that he's had in winning. But next week, right now, he's the favorite to win a Kiowa. So
Yeah, I just want to jump right in there and emphasize Rory 21-1. Seems so obvious after the fact. Good on you for taking it, putting it on the pod. I'm so mad I didn't join you on it, but yeah, Rory kind of his tournament took it. But let's go quickly talk through your other winners you had last week, and then believe it or not, I actually have a couple too. But let's go through your bet sheet here, and then we'll share all the winners we had last week.
sure, yeah. So I had Rory the 21-1. It made my week, obviously. Then I had Vic, who was trailing. I took your advice and played an outright on him as well. So the top 10 hit, but if Rory kind of faltered, I was hoping Vic was gonna kind of go for it. And then I didn't play Higo. I said that I had it was a little too steep odds at 12-1. But what I did do was I paired Higo with Rory on a parlay, and that hit for me. So it really made for a beautiful weekend.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, you hit all the notes for Wells Fargo, Rory. I'm going to talk a little bit about Vic as well because he was my pick to win it. But luckily, with that, I took him on a each way, so I got paid out on that as well. I really think Vic could have won this week. Obviously, the putting is going to be big in every tournament because he just seems to be striking the ball so well, had his opportunities, finished 2 strokes short, but I honestly feel like he's probably kicking himself that there was an opportunity there for him to possibly break through there. But he's close, back-to-back weeks, third place finishes. So, we'll save our PGA previews to next week, but I really like where Victor's game is at. Matt Wallace got him as top Englishman. He played really well. I think he was -6, so 4 strokes off the lead, just beating out Fleetwood, who had a decent tournament. And then my LPGA plays, I'm 2 for 2. Patty T over in Thailand, her home country. The Thailand ladies went 1, 2, 3 over there, so she came third, cashed that top 10.
You've always been good with the ladies, Scott.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, that recaps last week. What we're gonna do this week before we go on to the Byron Nelson, we're kind of at the midway point of the golf season. How I like to define the true golf season. I count the start of it kind of the January Hawaii start, the calendar year, and it goes right to the Tour Championship in Labor Day. I know the season officially starts right after the Tour Championship, but this to me is, once football's over, you got that January to August stretch, and we're kind of at that midway point. So we're going to go through a few categories here and kind of not awards, but kind of stories. And Ryan, I'm going to let you lead off. Kind of just talk about some of your guys, guys you like to play, how their seasons are going. Didn't really have a good name for what we're calling the starting. I think we're just kind of like go-to guys, guys we like to play. But I'll let you lead off.
Yeah, so uh, one of my guys kind of sparked my winning ways so far this year. I think you got a fancy graphic up there to throw up,
Oh, you want me
but
to throw that up now? Okay, I'll get right
uh,
on that.
but I've hit 8 outrights since February. It started with Brooks at Waste Management, Berger at Pebble Beach, and then Max at Riviera. Made it 3 in a row. Hit Morikawa at the WGC, and then JT at Players. He go twice in the Canary Islands, and now Rory at Quail Hollow. So we know how hard it is to hit an outright. So it's been a fun start to the season so far. For my guys, guys that I always have to bet, or I'd be pissed to miss out, are Brooks and Xander. Both guys, I think, are at least going to have one win coming in the second half. The other guys I bet a lot are Matthew Wolf and Russell Henley for whatever reason. But they're just two other guys that I just really like to bet, and I think I got a good idea who your guys are, Scott.
Yeah, right now I got two. I kind of adopt them last fall, I'd say. Uh, First one, Cam Smith, the Aussie with the mullet. Love that guy. Kind of came on board right before the Masters, and I played him a bit then, and he had that second place finish. And then I've been with him ever since. He's just enjoyable player, like his style. He's had a really good year. And the other guy is already talked about him, Victor Hovland. We talked about him a while back, and I think a lot of people think this, so it's nothing new, but everyone expected a big year out of him. Young guy breakthrough. And he has 2 wins, but I expect bigger wins in his future. And I'm going to segue my two guys into the first category. I'm going to put two categories in one. We want to talk about our favorite tournament, non-Masters, because Masters is obviously our favorite course tournament of the first half of the season. So favorite tournament, favorite course so far this season after the January start. And I'm doubling down here. I'm going the Genesis for favorite tournament and Riviera, where it's held, as the favorite course. It's one of the best venues I watched, one of the best tournaments. I had both my guys finish top five. Max breakthrough there in a playoff with Tony Finau. DJ was lurking. It's a loaded field. They all respect that place. They all play it. Um, I didn't know much about it honestly before this year. Then I was dialed in, did a lot of research into it. And it was truly my favorite tournament so far, and I love the course. Love that 10th hole playoff they do there, that drivable par four. I love drivable par fours, the risk versus reward holes. So for me, yeah, it all comes in there with Hovland, Cam. They both had great tournaments. I won money on both of them that tournament. It was just an exciting tournament, big names, and Max is a popular guy for him to break through at almost his home course. So favorite course, favorite tournament, the Genesis at Riviera. What do you got for me, Ryan, for a course and
Yeah,
tournament?
that one was really fun, and to see Tiger there, Max's idol, handing him the trophy, that was really cool. My favorite tournament was an easy pick. It was an easy pick even before the guy who won it this year, but it's the Waste Management. The 16th hole there is easily the best venue to watch golf as a fan anywhere on tour. I think it just looks like tons of fun. Um, and like I always said, I always bet my guys. Even when Brooks, he was coming off a neck and back injury, and he had 40-1 odds. So I was on him for sure. And this tournament kind of sparked the return of Jordan Spieth. Yeah, he shot a 61 on Saturday. He went on in the final round. He had a share lead with another one of my guys, Xander. So I mean, needless to say, I was heavily invested going into Sunday. On pins and needles, Super Bowl Sunday. And at that point, Brooks was 5 strokes back. He shot final round 65, hammered home a chip on the 17th hole to seal the victory. So I was riding high. Went on to watch the Bucks win the Super Bowl that night. So it'll be hard to beat a day like that for me again in a little while. But for course so far, I think I had a hard time with this. I went with the concession. It's a course we hadn't seen yet on tour. It was kind of like a replacement course for the WGC because of COVID. They couldn't leave the country, so it really didn't disappoint. It challenged the field. A lot of the top guys kind of struggled there, um, and I like watching tournaments more that challenge the golfers than those birdie fests. So I also had the winner there, so that helped too with Morikawa and his drive on 16 that found the green by Felicia. And then he went on to eagle that and probably won him the tournament. So hopefully they find a way to keep the concession course in circulation next year.
Okay, so next category is biggest story, and Ryan and I discussed this before the pod, and we both kind of agreed Jordan Spieth. So I'm going to tackle this one. You already hit on that Saturday at Waste, where that was kind of the resurgence, and anyone who is on Twitter and has golf Twitter follows knows that that Saturday afternoon it exploded, and people were quite excited to see Jordan back. There was a little bit of fans back too that weekend in Phoenix, and it was quite the atmosphere. I think you said it was 61 he shot that day, vaulted him into the share of the lead, didn't take it home, but he's rode that momentum pretty much through, like right till now. He's been solid, picked up the win in Texas, third in Masters, very popular player, was so obviously number one player in the world, three majors already under his belt. So for him to make his resurgence, to me, and I believe you agreed, was the biggest story of this half year. And just listened to Jordan today, and he's ready to go with another major coming up, and with a tournament this week we'll get to soon. That's almost like a home tournament for him. So with biggest story, this I'll lead this into you. Biggest surprise. I'm glad you'll tackle this one because I'm about done with this guy. But you take biggest surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm done with him too, and now hopefully he's done. So I think you got to go with Stuart Sink. The guy's 3 years away from playing Champions Tour golf, and he's one of two golfers that has 2 wins so far this year. So it's quite a story and quite a year for him so far. It started at the Safeway. Um, I think it was a little bit of a watered down field from what I remember there, but he took that victory down, and then his win at RBC was really impressive. He fired that 63 back-to-back days and just kind of put it on cruise control. So he did that on the heels of a T12, I think, at the Masters too. So has a son on the bag, so everyone loves that story, right? So
It's awesome.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, seeing that kind of production, I guess, from a guy who's 47 really gives me hope that Tiger can kind of fully recover. And I mean, he's 2 years younger than Sink, so hopefully we still get to see some Tiger magic before he dominates the Champions Tour with Phil there.
Okay, I liked how we're done with Stuart Sink and we turned that into Tiger somehow. So perfect wrap up there. I'm going to take the next one, our biggest disappointment. And we're talking January on. And to me, because the expectations are high and what he came off last fall and last summer, DJ is the biggest disappointment. Miscut at the Masters defending his title, and 3 withdrawals, like 3 of them like in the last 5 months. So his game isn't terrible. Like if you look at the stats, he's not as far away as you might think, but I have him on one of my yearly teams and he's making less money than, I don't know, Chris Kirk for me right now. So like I expect more out of DJ. I don't like the 3 withdrawals. Like I don't get it if it's like sponsor and then at the last minute, I wish he'd just not sign up. It's like maybe once, but 3 times in 5 months. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's pretty easily DJ. And I think he lost one of my drafts missing a cut and just tanked one of mine. So for me, it's personal. I like DJ, but he's just been a little bit of a letdown for me. Okay, last category we're going to do is each of us are going to pick basically from now, we got 3 majors left in the Tour Championship, the FedEx Cup. We're each going to pick kind of, I don't know, the guy we think is going to have the strongest second half of the season. So Ryan, who you pegging to really take off through the end of the spring, summer, and maybe pick up a major or two, FedEx Cup, 15 mil? Who do you got lined up for maybe having a big finish to the year?
Yeah, before I do that, I did have to include my biggest disappointment, and it's going to be quick. And don't nobody go in the bathroom for 35, 45 minutes. That basically describes Matthew Wolff so far this year. So for my second half player, I'm going to go with the number 3 player in the world. I'm going with Jon Rahm. He hasn't won since August of 2020, but he's consistently in the hunt every week. I think he's, without getting into next week yet and getting ahead of ourselves, I think he's going to be very in play in the rest of the majors for this season. And he's just kind of figuring out the daddy thing, I think. So he's going to start hitting his stride soon. Just hopefully not this week, Rombo.
Yeah, so my guy is somewhat similar story. I'm taking Xander to have a big second half, and similar to Rahm in that they don't have a major yet. So if we're picking these guys to have a big second half, we're obviously picking these guys to win at least one major, because I mean, or else they wouldn't have the biggest second half. But Xander's, I mean, obviously he's great. He's always around. The When he does miss a cut, it's shocking. But you look at his major performances, and he's just so close. So I don't know. I'm not going to, again, we're not going to give away any future tournament picks here, but I feel like there's one with his name all over it. We'll save that for a future date. And then if he picks up that major, then he's going to be in line to at Eastlake, where he plays really well. And if he takes home the 15 mil Tour Championship and a major, I would kind of count that as the biggest second half. So I'm pegging Xander as my guy to really break through by the end of the summer. Okay, now on to the next tournament. Hopefully keep some winners going. On to the Byron Nelson. Quick introduction to this is they're playing at a new course, the TPC Craig Ranch. They moved venues. 2 days ago, I didn't know anything about this course, and now I'd say I know a little bit. But what I've learned is expect a lot of scoring this weekend. It seems like that's the word around, is the players are going to go out, and something in the 20s is probably going to win. Distance is going to matter. Guys who can drive long should have a little bit of an advantage. But I think it's your risk versus reward players. Guys who are going to shoot low, those are the guys who are going to take it home. A lot of Texas roots here. A lot of guys, obviously, from Texas playing the Texas tournament. So through the last 2 days, a lot of guys, oh, I'm a member here. I played this 5 years ago. So there will be course familiarity with the players, just not with the viewers. And the 3 big names heading in, Bryson, home game for him. Jon Rahm, probably using it as a tune-up for the PGA. And Spieth, kind of another home game for him. Those would be the 3 major favorites at 10-1 or less odds. But yeah, that's the tournament. Byron Nelson, warm up to the PGA. We're going to do our picks a little quicker. I'm going to throw to you, Ryan, and give me 3 outright plays you're going to play here at Byron Nelson this week.
All right. So first of all, the DJ withdrawal was great news, but how are you going to go about getting fired on your day off? That's my question. So for my 3 outrights here at Byron Nelson, I'm looking for, like you said, the guys that can bomb it off the tee and get birdies and bunches. So my first play is going to be Scheffler, Scotty Scheffler at 26-1. Still looking for his first PGA Tour win, despite looking like he's 35 and not 24. But like you said, he's a Texas boy. He's coming in good form. So looking for him to take down his first win at home. My second play at 46-1 is Ryan Palmer. Again, another Texas guy. He's coming in making 13 straight cuts. I believe he owns the course record here at Craig Ranch, and hopefully he can shoot that in at least 1 or 2 of these rounds. So my third play is going to be Thomas Peters. So he's coming in at 67-1. He's only had 3 trips across the pond here so far. But he finished 13th, 15th, and 23rd in those 3 trips here in the PGA Tour. So he's finished 15th or best in his last 4 tournaments. And he's ranked Eric Lindros in the world right now. So coming in great form, and I like his number here.
Okay, throw it over. You can see my three outrights there. First one, Will Zalatoris. We were on him last week, and he kind of disappointed. Can't imagine he's going to do that again. Again, a lot of Texas guys. Another home game here for Will. He kind of fits the mold with Scheffler, who you mentioned. Their odds in the 20s, both really good players looking for a win that would mean a lot to them. So, not a warm up for the PGA, as in the sense that I think the win for him is really important. So, I like 29-1 for Will. Siwoo Kim, I don't know that. I'll just do these next two together. Siwoo Kim at 41 and Carlos Ortiz at 81. I'm taking flyers here. I'm taking guys that I know I've watched before shoot really low, or miss cuts, but I'm just taking chances at guys with odds that I, at the end of the weekend, it would not shock me to see them minus 22 fighting for the win. So really, there wasn't much thinking to those two other than I tried to look at someone in this range, the 40 to 80 range, that I could envision getting hot this weekend. And that's where I decided on Siwoo Kim and Carlos Ortiz at those numbers. So, well, as usual, we'll give some other plays other than outright wins, and then our bonus play off the PGA Tour. So, Ryan, I'll throw it over to you.
Okay, yeah, I thought about playing Carlos Ortiz too, but playing with my money is like playing with my emotions, Smokey. So instead, I went with Jordan Spieth for a top 10, paying $2. Taking another Texas boy. He loves playing in his home state. Hoping that the COVID that he's just getting over gives him just enough hangover to get him a top 10 finish as he's focusing on his potential Grand Slam there next week. So then I got Harris English top 20 at 250. I mean, he broke through for his first win this year, but since then it's been pretty ugly for him. I got to watch him a lot last year, so he didn't finish our last week. He didn't finish really high, but I feel like his game's getting there and he's trending in the right direction. So I like the top 20 this week for him. And then Aaron Wise, another top 20 at 380. He's another one of these young guys, young kids, from the Sam Burns kind of mold, and I like to bet him a lot. He's coming off a 9th place finish last week, and he actually won this tournament in 2018. So he's got some good vibes coming in here. And then if you're feeling really frisky, Ryan Lumsden making his debut here is paying 500-1. So I might have to do a little sprinkle there for the friend of the pod, but he's probably more likely to withdraw after 9 holes and post up at the bar.
So almost a home game for him too, isn't it?
It's very close to home for him, yeah. And then for my bonus pick this week, I'm going to take Garrick Higo to win at whatever he's doing this weekend. Unfortunately, that doesn't include playing golf. So I'm going to take another young lefty to win the British Masters. I'm going to take Bobby Mack at 15-1 to take down the win and get me back in the black. Because you know what they say, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Okay. All right. So quick plays for me. I'm going to put up the graphic here in a second, but I'll just run through them. Mark Leishman, top Aussie, 2.2-1. It's more of a anti-Jason Day play at this moment because the other Aussies in the field really shouldn't be threats to Leishman as long as he brings his B game, and I don't like where Day's game's at, so I'm just thinking if Leishman can make the cut, come top 30, this should cash. I'm doing a matchup for my second one. I'm taking Ryan Palmer over Sam Burns, 1.95-1. I think Palmer should top 20 here, and I'm looking for a little win hangover here from Sam Burns. He is scary here, that a little bit, but Palmer, like you said, course record here, and Burns looking for a little win hangover, so I'm taking that matchup. Top 20, Taylor Gooch, 3.25-1. Gooch just wasn't quite there to make my guys because I do bet him a lot. I want to be there when he wins, kind of like Burns, where I was betting him a lot at long odds and then I gave up and then he wins. So I don't want that to happen to me with Taylor, but I'm not vaulting him into the Cam Smith Hovland category, but I am going to play him at a top 20 this week at 3.25-1. And with my bonus pick, no LPGA this week, so I can't try to go 3 for 3 on those picks. But I'm going to the Corn Ferry Tour Canadian Taylor Pendrith, who just got I don't know if it's his card or his status into next year's PGA, but he's going to be on the PGA Tour next year. I'm putting each way outright 41-1 for him to win in Knoxville, Tennessee. Canadian guy, can drive the hell out of the ball. So yeah, let's go Taylor. I have my eyes on him for next year, but the Corn Ferry Tour at these odds, decided to take a chance with him and throw some Canadian content into the pod. All right. I think we gotta talk about basically your part of the pod, the one and done. These are always interesting for a major. Oh, actually pretty good field before a major. We have these top guys. Not sure we're gonna play them here, but where are you in the out of the 1,050 teams right now?
I think I'm top 10 or just either just inside or just outside. I can't remember,
Yeah.
but I'm in the 8 to 12 range for sure.
Okay, so you're 8 to 12, and I'm between 8 to 12 to the bottom. So we're on both sides of the spectrum here. So I'm just going to say mine right away because it honestly doesn't matter for this Mayo Cup that we talk about on this pod. So I'm just going to play Jordan Spieth because I didn't play him at the last Texas tournament before a major and he won it. And I kind of feel a little the same vibe here. I just feel like he's going to give you at least a top 10. But more importantly, what are you playing here? Because this is a big strategy for you. A lot in a field of over 1,000, being that close, you have to really think hard on what the right play for the one and done would be here.
It is, and I really thought hard about it. There's a lot of people on Bryson this week, and that's kind of scary. But I want to kind of save him for a bigger play down the road. And I think Scotty Scheffler's game really resembles Bryson's, but it's got a little bit less volatility, I think. So I'm going all in with Scotty Scheffler. So give me Bryson Light in his home state, taking home his first career PGA win.
Okay. Well, there it is. Our one and done. Spieth means nothing for the Mayo one we're in. And Scheffler, who, spoiler alert, I also played. So if you're 2 weeks in a row with Scheffler, at least I'm with you this time. Last week I did not join you with Rory, and I'm still kicking myself over that. Okay, so I mean, tried to add a couple categories in this week. Next week's different. It's major week. We'll be dissecting a lot of the players, have maybe more plays than usual. Interested to see what these big guys do the week before. I think they're just going to be fine-tuning their games. That being said, Bryson could shoot 26 under and run away with it, but that's always a factor. Any last thoughts? This tournament, obviously, Scheffler, you like, Zalatoris, I like. We like these young Texas guys, but
yeah, I mean, I see they're in a group together. It's Spieth, Zalatoris, and Scheffler. Let's get a winner out of that group.
Sounds good. Okay, well, this is another edition of Hitting Buckets, and we'll see you guys next week to preview the second major of the year, the PGA Championship.